Hey everybody, Agentpreneurs, welcome to episode 3 of the Daily List Report. We actually got a new logo here, Daily List Report. For those of you who watched yesterday, and I hope you're watching every day, we did the segment on John Krasinski and Some Good News, and his show logo in the background looked like it was drawn by his daughter. So in fact, I had my daughter make a logo until we have a more proper one. So at this point, here's the flyby, the Daily List Report. Welcome to the show today. We've got an action-packed program, super excited. We've got my co-founder, Ajay Shah, on to talk about the digital open house. And actually, I went sign crazy. We've got this cool sign, 0 days without an incident. Sorry for the audio issues yesterday. And here's the most adorable part of this. 0 is bad. And my daughter put a smiley face on the 0. So I think that's pretty adorable. So the optimism of a 10-year-old. So we've got 0 days without an incident, but after today, it's going to be 1. Encouraging you all to share this. We talked yesterday about the CARES Act. We had Justin Aragon on, our head of legal. It was a great program, really great program. And he talked about what money is available to all of you as independent contractors, as business owners. So if you missed yesterday's episode, it's on the Facebook page. Go back and take a look at it. Please consider sharing this. We're putting a lot of time and effort into creating what we hope is really good content for you. And if you like what you see here, help us build this audience. So please consider sharing. We had a bunch of shares yesterday. We're getting a lot of good feedback. If you have thoughts, topics, people that we should be talking to, please let us know. I realized something else. I was talking to AJ yesterday, and he said, you never properly introduced yourself. And I realized that, and this is how terrible we are as marketers, but we're giving this a shot. So I'm Randy Shiozaki. I'm one of the co-founders of ListReports, but I'm also our head of product. So I spend most of my time figuring out how to bring hopefully really delightful, really amazing products to all of you out there. These are things like the shareables and the marketing kits and all of the new stuff that we have available for you to better connect with your sphere of influence, better connect with your buyers and sellers, run better open houses. And today we're going to talk about the digital open house, which is super exciting. So for me, selfishly, this is a great forum, right? I get to talk to all of you. I get to see your feedback. I get to get whatever tips and tricks you have to learn better. Hey, everybody who's joining right now, it's great to see you. Thanks for being here. And so this is sort of our collective petri dish, right? Where hopefully we can provide you with some really insightful, great, wonderful information. And to the name rapport, we want to deeply understand you and want you to deeply understand who we are. So again, this show is Monday through Friday. It's 11 a.m. Pacific, lasts around 10 or 15 minutes. Later this week, tomorrow, we have Raj Shiva. Raj Shiva is our director of customer growth, but he's also a real estate agent. And he's going to give all of you his perspective on what he's doing right now during this time and in this market. And then on Friday, we have Scott Brickson, who is our resident economist, and he's going to talk with all of us and answer our questions about the economy. So we look at all of these comments. Hey, everybody, if you have questions about the economy, drop them in here. Put them on our Facebook page. We'll see them. We will address them. Join the show live tomorrow at 11. Join it Friday at 11. And we're really excited about that. So what we started yesterday, and we're going to keep doing, is we got a couple news topics of the day. So we got a couple headlines that we're tracking today that we'll go through quickly that I think are really relevant and interesting. The first one is that today is Census Day. So if you have not completed your census, please do. This is also, by the way, a great opportunity for you to reach out to your sphere and remind them to complete the census. Why is this important? It's important because these numbers help determine what representation you have in the House. Everybody gets 2 senators, but the House is variable based on population. So please do that. It also impacts the funding that your state and local governments get. So please complete the census. As of right now, it looks like only about 36% of Americans have completed the census. Everybody's got a lot on their mind, but direct them to 2020census.gov. Great opportunity for you to reach out to them, remind them of the importance of this because it does have a real impact on the representation that all of us get, as well as the funds that are available to us from the federal government. Second, Mortgage Bankers Association survey. So no surprise here, the mortgage market is being split. More and more people are trying to refinance to save money. That's great, but new mortgage applications are down. So they fell 11% last week and were 24% lower than last year. So we're seeing purchase applications down. We're seeing refinance up. So let's keep an eye on that. We'll keep you posted. The last thing that we're tracking is that Congress is looking at the next stimulus package. So no surprises here. We're all at home. I'm at home. We're here in Southern California. Everybody's working from home and it's taxing the bandwidth. We've had a number of issues just personally with Zoom and other things. I'm sure you're all experiencing this as well. And so we need to make more investments in our infrastructure. So the next stimulus package, part of it is looking to focus on infrastructure, 5G and broadband. There may also be some things in there that are being pushed for better infrastructure with our roads. But I know there's going to be a keen focus on broadband infrastructure because this is in many ways fundamentally changing how we work. And quite frankly, a lot of this may last and persist beyond the situation that we're in right now. Even us as a company, it's pretty fascinating. Sorry, looks like, oh, sorry, I thought we had a comment come in. You know, for us as a company, it's changed us a little bit, right? We didn't have a lot of remote workers before. We have a couple offices and we have some great teams, and we've been able to collaborate really effectively remote. And I hope that you're seeing that as well. So take advantage of the tools that are available out there. And I think that'll be great. Okay, so moving on, let's see. We are gonna talk to AJ now. So those of you who were on and watched the show on Monday, you saw that I brought on my co-founder, Ajay Shah. He's the CEO of ListReports. He's a Small Business Administration Entrepreneur of the Year winner. He is the smartest guy I know. He's a serial entrepreneur, and he's just tremendous. So everybody, let's pull him on. AJ, why don't you say hi to everybody?
Hey, everybody. Randy can't hear
AJ.
you. There we go.
I hear you fine. We just had a little bit of audio issues. Thank you so much for joining, AJ. So we are here today to talk about the digital open house. And so, you know, we've touched on this a number of times in our in the Facebook group. We touched on this, I think, even on Monday in our chat. But today we're really going to focus on this. So, AJ, you know, let's start off here. I want to ask you a couple questions, but first and foremost, let's start with the why, right? So why do we think there's an opportunity for this, and why now is the opportunity for this?
Well, you know, to state the obvious, right now everybody's struggling to be able to show homes, to do open houses, and so on. So there's no time like the present to figure out how to more effectively use digital technology. So there is a clear and present reason as to why we're doing this right now. Right. Fact of the matter is, though, Randy, and as I think you're going to allude to in a second, the digital open house experience and what we develop here and what's being figured out is probably going to be with us long after COVID. So this is an opportunity for everybody in the industry to figure out how to use this technology and to start to innovate.
No, I think that's really true, and I think that's how we're looking at this, right? You know, we're looking at this as an opportunity to redefine what this experience is, but how to create something that is going to outlast the current circumstances. Because, you know, as we discussed in preparation for this, digital has some real advantages, right? And so this isn't about trying to recreate the in-person experience. This is about trying to create an experience that is really tailored to digital.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think, you know, in the scheme of things, do we ever expect people to go to the point where they're wholly buying homes without looking at them? Absolutely not. I think that people will come, they'll see homes, that's going to be part of the experience. But the ability to engage more people to see those homes on a more intimate basis before they actually step through the door, and therefore increase exposure and hopefully increase the amount of leads that you're getting off of these listings, I think there's a significant opportunity to use digital in order to do that. And right now, that's what we're really focused on in terms of our digital open house experience.
No, I think that's great, AJ. And I'm going to pull up a slide here. You're going to be side by side with the slide. And, you know, there's a number of things that we've talked about that are part of the ideal experience, right, in a digital open house. And so, you know, why don't you talk through some of these, from lead generation all the way down to the extended engagement that comes in the brand awareness?
Yeah, absolutely. Just as a general framework, we think about this on two spectrums, right? So on the one hand, you have increasing leads, right? And this is what you use open houses for, is to be able to produce new leads. That is a primary function of them. Of course, you also want to sell the house, and this is about increasing exposure. So the whole gamut of this is really, how do you figure out how to do both? How do you make sure that you're getting quality leads out of this process, while at the same time showing the house and presenting it to as many people who are willing and able to see it, so that you get the widest exposure to possibly sell that house, right? So
Yes.
that's what the digital open house experience has to solve for. So one of the things that we're looking at, and even looking at the early days here in terms of digital open house experiences, they're not killing it in terms of lead generation. So we're picking up the cause of figuring out how to do that, figuring out how to do promotion around these things, right? So a lot of you have used ListReports to promote your businesses, promote your online brands. We think that the digital open house experience is going to be able to allow you to take that to another level through paid advertising as well as organic, using all your sphere of influence to really gain access to that. So we're figuring out how to do that through social, email, other mediums that we're excited to talk about. This idea that, in fact, when someone walks into an open house, and I hate to say it, agents, but lots of times when a consumer walks through an open house, their goal is to see the house and not to see the agent. Right? But in a
Yes.
digital open house experience, you really have a different way of creating a two-way pattern or discussion and conversation with them, and actually create new forms of engagement that other people who are looking on the sidelines, looking at this conversation happen, will find particularly interesting and revealing, right? And so that's what we're trying to think about, is how do you take that two-way conversation where someone's asking you a question about a specific element of the kitchen, and turn that into interesting content for everybody else who might be looking at that. Obviously, delivering a really high quality of service is going to be key. And the about digital is that I should be able to watch it whenever I want. So while we definitely encourage the live digital open house experience, these things should live well beyond that digital open house experience when it's live onto a recorded platform that people can surface and discover, so that they can do this at 11:30 at night if they want. If they can watch this with their spouse if they want. They can send this to a friend if they want, and so on.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. I think those are all really great things. And let me kind of go to the next slide here, AJ. Right, when we talk about how we've thought about bringing a product like this to market, trying to double down on some of the things that you talked about, right? So making sure that there's a clear path to registration, right? This is such a valuable lead source for our agents, and in a digital world, there are actually ways we think to increase or enhance that, right? And so let's talk a little bit about some of the items here that we're looking at, and then when you get to the flyover, I'll actually play an example of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So in our heart of hearts, the way that we're thinking about this is, how do we make the agent look great? How do we make the house look great? And how do we turn this into an experience where the consumer is drawn in every time, right? Because let's be honest, right now, the consumer has no other option but to go through this digital open house experience. But that doesn't mean it's engaging. That doesn't mean that they want to be there. It means that they have to be there. What we want to do is turn this into an experience that is super engaging for a consumer, where they say, every time there's a digital open house, I want to see it. And so that means really turning this into a high quality production experience that that we need to figure out the pieces of. And so the reason that we haven't just simply rolled out a virtual tour product is we think that's just one part of the solution. So perhaps you can show an example of the kinds of things that we're looking at here, Andy.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm actually playing a flyover now, and AJ, you can't see this, but you've seen this before. You can do a lot with Google Earth. Is this the same quality 4K as a drone video? It's not, but it really, as you can see here, does give you a pretty good sense for what the neighborhood looks like, how the home is situated. In this case, you can see the size of the backyard and the swimming pool, and the fact that there looks to be a fair amount of privacy. So there's actually quite a bit of information that is available from some of these tools and some of these technologies. And these are ways for us to automate and supplant some of the other services that are out there in certain cases. Right, AJ?
Right. And now imagine if we overlay that with the infographics data that we're famous for at ListReports, right? So that you actually see visually, okay, where's the grocery store? Where's the gym? Where's all of these pieces of my life, in a way that really brings the neighborhood to life, right? So these are the types of things that we have to start to bring with respect to these digital open houses. And the main point here is that even if I went to that neighborhood and drove around, I may not have as good an idea about that neighborhood and about that house as I would actually having gone through the digital open house experience. So it's even in many ways better. That's what we want to do with this type of technology.
That's right. That's right. And let's talk a little bit about what we're internally calling the flattering questions, right?
Yeah.
The FAQs, and then we'll get into the virtual staging, which that technology has come a long way. It's quite fascinating.
Right. So, as with any situation, agent wants to be able to control the conversation and dictate, what parts of the house and the neighborhood that they want to call out. So, what we're developing right now is a list of, give or take, 50 questions that we think, apply to different houses. And one of the things that we're going to encourage agents to do as part of our digital open house experience is to pick 3 to 5 of those questions, ones that we think are particularly flattering of the house or the neighborhood. Questions like, hey, what's your favorite room in this house? And this gives you an opportunity to call that out. The other thing that it allows you to do, though, is give a piece of your personality in the context of this. When you're talking about something that's favorable about the house, add a little personality to it, and really gain an opportunity for the consumer to get a sense of you, the agent, and to gain some trust both in terms of the house and the agent, right? And so I think that's a particularly interesting thing as well that we'll be rolling as part of our digital open house experience.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we've got this next item here, which is virtual staging, and I'm actually going to pull up a couple examples here. This technology, frankly, has come a long ways, right? I mean, we're looking at images now of a living room that, in this case, is vacant. There's even technology to remove furniture, so you don't have to have an unfurnished property, and then to stage into that virtually. What for I think most people looks quite like a photo, right? It's really great how far it's come. So why don't you talk a little bit about that, and I'll show a couple of these images here.
Absolutely. So if you think about it, this is one of the big advantages of digital over a traditional open house, right? When you go into an open house, you sort of have to take the house as it is, and even if it's staged, that's one person's imagination of what the house could look like.
Yes.
With digital, you can actually imagine different colors, different furniture, really different way to look at that room. And so what we thought about is some of the most popular shows on TV, I'm sure this is not lost on our audience, are those flip it shows where people renovate homes, they stage homes, and so on. What if every digital open house experience at the very end came with 1 or 2 slides that presented a room reimagined in a different way? What a great way to engage a consumer in a way where they know, hey, I want to stick to the end of this because I really am curious what that room could look like if it were different, right? And so we're working on creating this as an integrated package that you could actually have, so that you take, let's say, the kitchen or the master bath and actually integrated these into your digital open house experience, and you save it to the end, so it's a little bit of bait to keep people real holy.
Yes. In the same way that I'm saving funny little things to bait people to the end of this show. So there you go.
Exactly it. Yeah, that's listen, I mean, the word show is right. You're trying to keep someone's attention through these digital open houses for 8, 10, 15 minutes. How are you going to do that, right? Well, use your personality, use the full thrust of everything that the neighborhood and the house gives you, but also, have things available to you like these digital flyovers and these digital virtual staging opportunities to really bring it to life and give everything that you can to it.
I mean, it's really powerful, right? I mean, we see this in the movies that we watch on TV, and the lines have blurred between reality and real and virtual, right? To the point where, to the point you made earlier, actually, when you walk into an actually physically staged home, it's one person's vision of it, and it may be contemporary, it may be current, it may address a lot of the audience, but to be able to sort of dynamically look at that house the way that you would want is tremendous. And one of the photos that we had up on screen while you were talking is a bathroom that is clearly in what I call an 80s bathroom, right? And it's difficult, right? As we've talked, it's so difficult for a consumer to walk into a home and put that aside and imagine what that would be. And you can't remodel a bathroom, right, with staging. You can put up some pictures and some nice towels and soaps and incense, right? But you can't actually do in that case. This is to the point that you can do things with digital that you just simply can't do in real life. And what a powerful way to spark someone's imagination.
I think you got it. I mean, that's exactly it, right? Like, think of the way that we can use this to sell the house in a completely different way. Here's one thing, Randy, if it's okay, I do want to point this out.
Please do.
I'm seeing a lot, and as part of this process of trying to develop this new experience, I am seeing a lot of agents go into and do live tours where they're taking Facebook Live and they're going in into these houses. Listen, I think that's great. If that's how you know how to do it, do it. But keep in mind, I'm seeing a lot of choppiness on these internet connections and a lot of internet fails that are happening as a result of it. So make sure if you're going to go through this, make sure your battery's charged. Make sure that that you either have really good cell coverage or really good Wi-Fi at that point in time, because if you can draw people in, you certainly don't want to squander that opportunity. And you want to look, and we want you to look as professional and put together as possible. So do that homework. If you're not going to do that, then we encourage you to do it the way that we're strongly encouraging our agents to do it, which is take a recording of it or use a Matterport virtual tour, something like that, and take it home with you where you have stable, reliable internet in your own desktop environment and present it there. You're not losing much in the experience, but you're controlling a lot of variables that are going to infuriate the heck out of you and your audience if things go awry.
Yeah, no, it's great. We've got a couple comments. I just put one on screen right now, right? Storytelling as ever is key for the digital open house success, right? There's so much we can do with storytelling. We've got another one here, right? So this is huge. We have to get creative and innovate to keep our momentum and not let this affect us, right? These are 100% true. This is a good segue into the next part of this, which is Tiffany Powell said, a bit nervous about tech. How easy will this be to use? So Tiffany, that's a really great question. And Aj, I'm going to actually pull up that last slide that we had talked about that has sort of a screenshot of what the product will be. And just before you address that, Tiffany, if we've been known for anything, we know and we believe is that we've made products easy to use. So in every case possible, we're trying to bring and deliver to you. Shareable is a great example of this. It's hard to know what to post on social media. It's hard to know what to say about it. So we bring you the image, we bring you the caption, and in 30 seconds you can sort of check that box and you can be relevant to your sphere. So that's the model that we think about with everything that we do. How do we make it as simple as possible? So Aj, why don't you jump in here? I've got a screenshot of the product, and then we have another question from Tracy, which we can address as well, which is how soon will this be ready, and is there going to be a cost to use, right? So lots of excitement around this, but let's pay off the live show here. Let's make sure we address Tiffany and Tracy's comments. So let's talk about how easy this will be to use.
Well, first off, thanks for the questions. Thanks for engaging. That's what this is all about.
Yes.
Is to learn. We're learning from you with every question you ask as well. So I appreciate that. So what you can see on the screen is if you've ever been to our shareables page where we make it super easy to share social media content, we're following and emulating the same model for digital open house experience, right? So you're going to be able to pick your active listings from here. You can be able to select a date and time. And we suggest some copy for you, and you can share these out on Facebook. You can email them, whatever you want to do in terms of producing experience, and then you can get it out to your audience. In terms of the tech, all of the things that we're talking about, just like ListReports has always done with the infographics and the marketing kits, what we're trying to do is bundle all that together. What you have to do is be the best version of yourself, be prepared in terms of knowing that real estate really well, knowing the neighborhood really well. We're going to provide all of the tech around it in a way that is piecemeal and super easy to understand. In terms of pricing, our goal is to make this completely free to agents as our other products. And here's how we're going to pay for it. Number one, of course, any cost associated with the virtual touring, the photography and stuff like that, we're going to ask you to take that on. We're going to ask you to take on the cost of the virtual staging. We're working with partners to try to bring the cost of that down as much as possible. But, so there will be some hard costs there that we're literally just going to try to pass on to those partners after we've negotiated these deals for you. But beyond that, how ListReports is going to try to monetize this and make some money is that we're going to create sponsorships around this so that hopefully if you're paired with a loan officer, they can present themselves in a 15, 30-second blurb around this digital open house experience, or other partners might be interested in stepping in here. Obviously, they all want you to be successful, and it's important for the entire industry. You are the supplier of leads to the entire industry, right? Not just for your own business, but for everybody else. So they only succeed if you succeed, and that's why I think there's a lot of companies out there, mortgage companies, title companies, and other companies that are really interested in stepping up and supporting these experiences with simple sponsorships.
That's great. That is fantastic. I'm going to put this comment up again, AJ, just because it's just so great, right? This is huge. We have to get creative and innovate to keep our momentum and not let this affect us. I've been doing open houses, but since they stopped us, this right here is a game changer, and that's fantastic. So thank you again, AJ. To your point, man, just getting this feedback from all of you. Thank you for engaging. Please consider sharing this. Right, we're all in this together, and if we can get a bigger audience here, we can continue to invest and push on these products and make these changes. So Age, in terms of timing, because that was the other question, right? Oh, please go ahead.
No, that's what I was just reminded, we didn't address the timing issue.
Yes.
So
yes.
Here's what we're doing. You can imagine that since this COVID thing hit and to today, our team, which has been literally working around the clock to get these experiences stood up, they've been working really hard to put all these pieces together. And we're testing some of these pieces this week with a handful of agents. They're already out in the field talking to some agents. I know that's a really limited number, and that doesn't help you if you got an open house this week, and I'm really sorry for that. But we're working to get something together literally within the next few weeks that many of you can get in your hands here. So the demand is intense. Trying to deliver a really good experience is intense, but we want to make sure that if we put something in your hands, you're not disappointed, and your consumers that you count on are not disappointed. We never want to put you in a position where we deliver anything but something that we're proud of. So
Amen.
Please bear with us over the next few weeks as we put this together. We're going to open up the tests more next week. I know that. And then the week after that, we're going to try to even get a larger population going here.
That's fantastic. AJ, thank you so much for coming on and talking about that, and give everybody a wave goodbye. We'll get on to the next segment.
Really, my pleasure, my honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, AJ. All right, fantastic. Okay, so as always, we're going to go on to a fun little segment before we wrap today. This one is near and dear to my heart. It was shared by someone on our team yesterday. I'm a huge fan of musicals. I get made fun of a lot, but I just love musicals. And so we saw this video, which I'm going to play for you. This one's about 1 minute and 15 seconds or so it's a little longer than usual. This is the Marsh family from Kent, England. And here's why I love this. This is a family that is in quarantine like all of us. This is a family with a bunch of kids, and they start this thing off, and these kids are fighting with each other before they get into their song. So I'll play 1 minute of this. If you like it, you can find it on YouTube.
Come on, shut up. Why are you hitting me? I haven't done anything.
What? Yeah, you're being loud.
She just hit me all day. That's all she's done to me all day.
I did that.
No, all you did was me. Shh. He's a bully.
Time one day
I had a football match today. How can I play when we are parting?
One day more.
Our grandparents are miles away. They can't work Skype, we're broken hearted.
One more day alone, my foot.
How good is that, right? How good is that? It goes on for another 3 minutes or so. I promise you will enjoy it. I shared it with my kids. They got a crack up. They shared it with their friends. So that's it for today. Again, another reminder, I've seen these videos where you can't subscribe. We're not on YouTube, but people are like pointing to the screen. They're like, click subscribe, click subscribe. So I'd like you to consider clicking share. I think the share is on the bottom. So click share. Send this to a few people that you think would benefit from this information. We would absolutely love that. And with that, again, reminder, tomorrow we got Raj Shiva, who is our resident agent, and he's going to talk about some of the things that he's doing during this time. And on Friday, we got Scott Brixon, who is our resident economist, and that's going to be great. And I'm going to leave you with this. This came from someone on our team named Swan, Delightful Swan, a nod to Monday's thing when I used Anchorman Ron Burgundy. So stay classy, Ran Diego. So until tomorrow, thanks.